any fists. Bonnie and Mandy, make sure you're always watching, or you could miss it if they ever kiss. Those two wildflowers did what they had to do, and now they're free. And it's gonna be as wild as it can be, with no apology. Bonnie Scalisi and Mandy Jones, Wildflowers, Wildflowers.
Welcome live at the Wildflowers. I'm Mandy Jones, the comedian, and as always with me is
Bonnie Scalisi. Hi, everybody.
we are here. We are doing episode number 41. If you don't know Bonnie Scalisi and I, get with the program. Bonnie and I, this is the 41st episode of this show, but we have been together for many, many moons before that.
Yes. Well, it's like we've been married longer than most people.
I know. It's like we set our vows again at 41 episodes.
Right.
So this is all that counts.
We got a new start.
And this was like the getaway in Jamaica wedding that we have. We have some people tuning in with us tonight, Bonnie.
Yeah, we already have some people, but we have a couple of announcements that we want to make first. You want to go first, Mandy, about July 12th?
Yes, and well, actually, I have something going on this weekend.
Yes.
I will be at Red Zone in Babylon. That's a John Butera show, but John Butera is actually not going to be there. But Terry's going to be closing that show. Fat Jay is going to feature that show. Bunch of good names. So you should come down and see that show.
And what is that date?
That's Saturday coming up, June
this Saturday.
19th, yes.
And I am in a John Butera the following Saturday at a new venue called Club 121 in Amityville. And Fat Jay is in that show, and John Butera is headlining that show. Nice. So 2 Saturdays of John Butera in a row.
And then we were yelling at you that it was July 5th, but it's actually going to be July 12th. It's going to be the G's Club show. G's Club is once a month, a free comedy show presented by the Wildflowers in Nassau County, New York, and it's a free comedy show. There's no minimum on drinks or food, and we've got, Bonnie, you want to tell them who the headliner is?
Oh, yeah. The headliner is the really fantastic Peaches Rodriguez, hosted by Steve Rocco Perillo.
Yes.
Just really excited about them.
And we're going to do just like we did last month, where if you come down and you put your name in the hat and you're a comedian or just feel like telling jokes, you get a chance to perform the night of the show, and also you get participation points for future shows, because like I said, this is once a month. I just saw Kathy Arnold saying, "There's my woman, Mandy Jones." Oh my God!
But I'm not your woman too, Kathy.
Kathy, you two-time and hoe. Yeah, no, Kathy and I had a lot of fun. We rode into the city last night. We got to see. I don't know if I could say his name, but we got to see somebody perform a. Well, he's doing a Netflix special. It's not released yet. When I know the release date, I'll send the information. But Kathy and I had a great time. And it was really cool to see like a professional show, something that somebody's worked so hard and put together for an hour of making people laugh. So that was fucking awesome.
And just one last thing, I'm going to ask for everybody's support. July 1st, I'm going to be in the Long Island Laugh Off. It's my 3rd time trying. I think they had it videotaped, but I'm technologically challenged, so I couldn't do that.
I'll film you this year.
Yay! So July 1st. At 7:30 at the Brokerage Comedy Club. And we'll just say a quick shout out to all the people tuning in. Hi, Greg DeFlippo, all the way from Florida. Bill Hansen, how are you? Robin DeVito, we love Robin. David Lange, how are you? Harry Flagdrop, how are you doing, Harry? And everybody, please share the show right now. Can you please press the share button?
My mom's saying hello.
Oh, yes. Mary Underhill, Esther Forrester. Thank you all for tuning in.
Tough choice between Bonnie and
You don't
Mandy.
have to choose. You can have us both. Alan Streisfeld, how are you doing, Alan? So we're going to get to our guests. We're so excited, unless you have anything else you
I just want to know who's participating with an angry face, and then I'm good.
Where do you see an angry face?
Up here, someone's giving me an angry face.
They probably just pressed the wrong button. I do that all the time. Peter Wolfinger, how are you? Peter's tuning in. Maybe it's Peter's follower, his hater that follows him from place to place. So, should I get started?
We can wait. You want to just tell us the topic and then we'll.
Okay, I'm going to let you tell. The topic is.
We were talking about it's a whole new world.
It's a whole new world.
Because we didn't want to call it the new world order.
The quarantine.
We want to talk about life opening up and the positives and what came out of the lockdown. We always let the guests choose.
And this was his
But we also always talk about anything, as you know, on this show. So,
right, and we want to hear from you also.
Right.
So you may have seen our guest in Kevin Can Wait. He's also performing at Gotham Comedy Club in New York City tomorrow.
Yeah. Friday.
Friday. The very funny Chris Roach.
Woo! Welcome.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
Oh, we're so excited to have you.
It's nice to be here.
Yeah, I actually saw you at the Brokerage Comedy Club, and that's where I nailed you to come to this show.
Cornered me.
I cornered you.
No.
Yeah, cornered is a better word. That's not.
So I came willingly.
Yeah. So,
Plus, I think I was supposed to be. Wasn't I supposed to be on the show before? And I was like,
you were
flustered.
Calamity Jones.
Yeah, and Calamity Jones is always calamitous. And we were talking about life opening up. So that's what you wanted to talk about a little bit. I mean, so you have a podcast called Anxiety Roadshow?
Well, I had the Anxiety Sideshow, which
I'm
I'm putting more time into the Chris Roach show. And you know what?
What's the difference?
I don't know. Well,
okay, but it's like a new season of
You know what it is? I just felt like the Anxiety Sideshow was like almost too, what's the word I'm looking for? Too narrow of a spectrum of topics. It's about anxiety. And after like 9 episodes, I'm like, what else am I going to talk about?
Making me anxious. I'm
getting anxious.
Yeah, I'm getting anxious just hearing it.
Yeah. About topics.
Am I in the light? I'm such an actor. Am I in the light? So
come into the light.
I decided to do like a show where I could just talk about anything, and I didn't know what to call it. And somebody said, call it the Chris Roach Show. I'm like, I'm not like an egotistical person. Not that you have to have an ego to have a show named after you, but I just felt like, God, I can't do that. Maybe I have such a low self-esteem. I don't know. So we called it the Chris Roach Show. After a few people yelled at me and said,
how can people find the show? And by the way, Bill Hansen says that he's seen you before.
And now you're making me
he said he saw you in a show in Connecticut. And Harry Flagdrop said he's seen this guy, Chris Roach, before. Chris Roach, Mandy's fixing the lighting right now.
Oh, that's better. There you go. That's better. I can relax.
You look like you're telling a ghost story now.
I look all right. Listen.
Is it better?
Go that way more. Go that way. Now turn that thing towards her a little bit. Yes. That's good right there.
I like it. Lighting. Oh, Harry, you might have seen Chris because he was on Kevin Can Wait, which is kind of like it's the after King of Queens ended, they redid it with
Lee Remini?
Lee Remini and
Kevin James.
Thank you. I'm just drawing a blank.
This is better. This is better.
And by the way, he's really tall.
I see more.
How tall are you?
I see more involved.
I need a lamp on my head when I'm looking at you.
Wait, we're not both. We're not. You have to get closer, I think, to me.
It's amazing. I was just talking about this with.
It's like we've never
should I move closer
to you?
No, because you know what? I was just talking about this with Mike Nicolia. Mike Nicolia, who's the producer.
He's the one who convinced me to do the laugh off. He's very convincing.
Such a good guy. He's producing my show in his basement, an Italian finished basement. But one thing I was talking to him about is that on TV, like if you ever watch two sports announcers, I think it was my acting teacher said 1 inch on the. I think 1 inch in real life is equal to like a foot. So it looks like you two are like literally on top of each other, but you're just sitting, you're casually sitting.
We are on top of each other. No, I'm just kidding.
They're sitting next to each other, but like that's why you see sports announcers. They're like right in each other's face because they have to be, or else it looks weird.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But this is not an optical illusion. You are very tall, correct?
Yes, I'm tall.
How tall are you?
6'6". I'm 6'6".
6'6". That's really tall. That's amazing.
She's saying, what else? As they're saying, what else did they finish in that basement? Yeah, what is the difference between an Italian finished basement and a regular?
They eat that in an Italian basement. They eat down there.
But it's a place. My uncle there's part of my side that's Italian, and the finished basements, at least when I was growing up, and when I went over to my uncle's house, it was where all the kids, parents wanted to get the kids out of their house, so they threw them down there.
Yeah. It was like
a living. It was TV, a refrigerator. It was like, everything you needed. So it's like, then you go to my friend's basement, or I don't have a basement in my house, but my friend's basement, it looks like it's just where you open a door and you just throw crap down there.
Right, it could be a storage room.
What do you want to do? I don't know, give me the box, open it up, and it's all dusty and concrete floor and cobwebs.
Yeah, it could be either one. It depends on what the homeowner wants. But Greg DeFlippo is actually answering
Hi, Greg.
the story of what our theme is. What good came out of the lockdown? Well, I'm not sure a lot of good was found during the lockdown, but I did learn you really can go blind if you play with it too much. Oh, Greg! It figures Greg would say something like that. That's funny.
I feel like I had a lot of positives. Like, did you have any projects going on personally?
Yes.
What did you do around the house? How did you stay busy?
You know what? One thing, there are a few positives that came out of it, with a few TV projects that I'm working on.
Okay.
And I don't want to jinx it by saying it, but like this casting director from a well-known casting director called me up. He's like, remember that show you wrote? I'm like, yeah. He goes, why don't we start rewriting it and do some table reads? So I started doing table reads.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Hopefully we'll be filming it in September.
Ooh.
But, we're doing it like independent. Nowadays, I feel like in stand-up comedy and in acting, you have to make your own way.
Oh, you have to.
It used to be in the 90s, if you were funny, they would send people out from the networks to go to comedy clubs to look for you.
Right.
Wow.
Now you have to be like, they got to hear about you. Oh, what has he done? Show me what he has. It's not like, hey, let's build a sitcom around this guy. You have to like, here's my sitcom. This is what I wrote. And these are the people that are agreeing to star in the pilot, And
actually, didn't how you got discovered for Kevin Can Wait was they did come into Governor's Comedy Club, and basically you didn't. I always thought you knew Kevin James.
No,
and that as a friend, he put you on. So why don't you tell? I mean, I've heard the story, but I love the story. So tell the story of how you got.
Yeah, it was at McGuire's in Bohemia, and I heard about he was going to do a show in Long Island, and I didn't really think much about it. And one day I was about to go up. It was like a Wednesday night, and I'm looking at my notes at McGuire's in the back. I'm getting ready. I'm next. And I saw in my peripheral an entourage walk in and
that must have been really
the back. When you're facing the stage, the tables.
Right.
They sat at the back tables after like the second comic was on, and I'm like, oh, that guy looks familiar. Holy crap! And I knew who he was because we had some of the same friends, but he never knew who I was. And I remember going on stage and just saying to myself, you know what? Just be yourself. I didn't know what was at stake then, thank God. So I just went up and had fun for 10 minutes. And when I saw that breakdown for the show come on Actors Access, I called my manager. There was 3 parts. They were looking for 3 friends. And I called my manager. I said, get me the scripts for all 3. And she submitted me, and my agent submitted me, and they called me in to read for 2 of them. And I had already had them off book. And when I read the one for Mott, I was like, oh my God, it just fits so well. Even though I was trying to be the other guy more, I'm like, who am I kidding? I'm this guy. Who am I? And I remember the breakdown was long-suffering, it was giant, long-suffering father of 7. I'm like, well, I'm giant, I'm long-suffering, I got 1 kid. So
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
And then I auditioned, but I found out later on, later, like a year or 2 later, when I was opening up for him, like, somebody said to me, he goes, do you realize you were the first one they casted for that show?
Wow.
I was like, no. He goes, when they saw you at the comedy club, they knew you were the guy. I was like, oh my God. But that's like a story. Again, that's like a story you hear from the 90s. Like,
but that wasn't that long ago.
No, that was
5 years ago?
4 years ago.
4 years ago. So that's not that long ago.
That's really not that long
So
ago.
Jimmy Quinn.
Especially because 2020 doesn't count.
Jimmy Quinn?
Jimmy Quinn is watching. He said he went to high school with Chris.
Oh, that's so funny because I talked to him earlier today. That's actually, I know him as Shaggy. He was at my parents' wedding. Well, not my parents.
Hi, Jimmy.
My mom and stepdad. My stepdad moved up from Tennessee, and Jimmy Shaggy, as I know him, was like his first.
Shaggy!
Somebody's knocking at the door.
No, it's the ice maker.
Oh, okay. I'm like, oh, we have a guest visitor. No, I'm just joking. Hey, Stevie GB's tuning in. Hi, Stevie.
Hi, Steven.
Peter Wolfinger thinks your story is awesome. And he says you only have 1 inch taller than Peter, because Peter's really tall, too.
Peter?
Peter Wolfinger. He's really tall. I don't know if you know Peter.
Who's Peter Wolfinger? I'm sorry, Peter.
He's a friend of ours.
Hi, Peter. We probably met. I need to meet somebody like 5 times before it registers.
Yeah, I try to be good. And another thing that's hard is like having so many Facebook friends. I feel like you'll see people out, and I'm like, I know that I know them.
Yeah, I know
that we interact, and like, but I might not necessarily recall the name, and that's.
So Stevie GB wants to ask Chris if he remembers pistachios in Lindenhurst.
Yes. You know what's so funny, Stevie? I was just over at Mike Nicolia's. He lives in Lindenhurst, and I was on Wellwood Avenue heading over by down that way. And I remember, I was like, wow, I remember doing that comedy club. I mean, the room Pistachio was, I think it was a Tuesday, but it was sometimes these
What
rooms,
is it, a restaurant?
It was a bar, like an Irish bar. And
Pistachios and
yeah,
Irish
That's an Irish name.
It's kind of Irish.
What Mick was trying to pass fucking pistachios off as a...
Well, that's what it felt like. But
it was a pub.
sometimes there were these bars, these comedy shows that would pop up, and they would last, you know? They would have like a good crowd that came out, sometimes regulars.
Yeah.
Not just comics watching you, which is still okay, but Pistachios was one of those places that was drawing an audience. I had a show down in Port Jefferson. When you're going down Port Jefferson, down the hill, the last bar on the right, Tommy's place. And we did a show on Sundays there, and we would bark like the city. We would be on the sidewalk barking people to come in for the show.
There's so many people in that town.
Yeah.
Just walking around like,
There's so much,
all right, I got an ice cream cone. I'm mosey in there.
There's so much foot traffic. So if you're a younger comedian looking for a room, go to like a Port Jefferson or Northport.
Don't tell everybody. No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking.
Wherever there's foot traffic, especially in the spring, summer, and fall, if there's foot traffic, we sometimes would fill up this back room at Tommy's place and do these comedy shows. It was great.
I actually was a host. I don't know if you remember. I hosted a show that you were in a little before the pandemic. So
yeah, I remember.
And Peaches was
I love
performing. Peach. She was the head before you. You were the headliner. So Harry Flagdrop is saying he's coming to New York in September, and he's hoping that you girls are performing when we come up there.
Yeah, it should be the first week of the
I already
month.
have somebody that asked me to be in a show in September, and you probably did too.
Yeah, and we'll give you the
details as soon as we know.
Also, I believe the first week of September we'll get you that date as well.
And Adam Snare is saying the Roachster.
Hey, Adam from
we
Florida.
love Adam. 2 people from Florida are watching. We lost 2 good people to Florida.
The Floridian. You always love to go south.
Now, how did you survive eating? Do you cook at all? Who cooks in the house? How did you guys survive?
Survive the pandemic eating?
Yeah, you're 6'6". You need a lot of calories.
Yeah, well, in the last 3 months, I've lost so far 55 pounds.
Oh, good for you.
But during the pandemic,
I gained 20 pounds. I lost 10 of it,
what
and
were
I'm
you
still
eating
working.
now? Because we were like literally, we were eating like it was like
the end of the world.
It was the end of the world.
Yes, we were getting.
I ate all my stash. That was like supposed to be for my survival within the first 2 weeks.
Yeah,
that was not good.
That was it. It was because you were.
Jimmy's from Florida too.
There was like a depression that kicked in after a couple of months, and food became happiness.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
so it was like a serious staple. So now, do you cook at all?
My wife does most of the cooking. I really need to get better at cooking. I suck. We took a cooking class one time because I wanted to learn how to cook, and I felt like the woman was rushing us. I did it for like a Valentine's thing we could do together. We took a cooking class, and I ended up saying to my wife, you just do it. Because she was like, okay, you done with the vegetables yet? I'm like, no, I got to learn how to use these knives. And so I need to get a cooking class that teaches dumb people how to cook.
I'll join that class with you.
This cooking class taught you how to make a dish. So you had to, from start to finish, make an appetizer, entree, and a dessert. I just wanted to learn how to, crack an egg.
Just trying to mosey along, just get the basics.
Right. And the reason I don't know how to cook is because I grew up in a house where, I had 2 brothers, sister. My dad was a cop, and money was tight. So it was always like, get out of the kitchen! and I'm like, okay. Now, it took me a while to get back in the kitchen.
Yeah, you have kitchen phobia.
Eat over the sink. My mother would always say, eat over the sink if you've eaten something in the kitchen. And like a cookie. So I eat the cookie over the sink. And
there's crumbs.
now my wife's like, why are there crumbs in the sink?
You can never win.
Midnight, I'm eating. I was literally just yelling at Glenn. He was just eating a slice of pizza. I vacuumed, and then he's eating a slice of pizza with no plate. I'm like, this isn't a frat house.
That's correct. Yes, I live in
Vacuum once, 60 days. Can you not?
Yeah.
Alan Streisel said, tell Chris the Port Jefferson place was Chesterfield's. Does that ring a bell?
Port Jefferson was Chesterfield. Sorry.
Yes. And Jimmy Quinn is saying, let's go Islanders, because you got a Rangers shirt on.
Right, Jimmy.
It's New York, period.
And Adam's saying how thin you got. Peter Wolfinger says, I drank every night during COVID as alcohol kills germs. It worked.
Yeah.
It didn't catch COVID. I did a lot of drinking, and I hung out at my boyfriend's house and watched things that I never got to see that everybody else had seen already. Like I saw The Sopranos for the first time.
A lot of people did binge
saw
watching.
Breaking Bad for the first time. I saw Better Call Saul for the first time. And then I drink, and we'd have lots of sex. I had the most sex I ever had during the quarantine. I enjoyed the quarantine.
Is this a PG show?
I didn't say, I could have used a different word, but yes, it's PG. Cedric is from...
We made whoopee.
We made whoopee. Cedric Hooks is from Florida also.
Hi, Cedric.
I thought you were from New York, Cedric.
Go Greek salad.
And Esther's correcting Alan and saying there is no Chesterfields. So they're having a kind of a little argument on our feed.
To watch The Sopranos. Nobody needs to.
I love The Sopranos. I loved it. Peter Najak is saying I don't need to watch Sopranos. What do you mean, Peter? Everybody loves The Sopranos.
I know. Be a sport.
Well, I loved it.
Back to you.
Yes.
I mean, you talking about anxiety. One of the things my husband said when 2020 and when everybody got really serious about COVID, he was like, yeah, now it's like welcome to the party for people like us who've been suffering with anxiety.
Right.
People are like, oh shit, can I
We had our podcast.
Well,
Exactly,
that's why comedians were all birds of the same feather. That's right. We say birds of a feather. We all
flock together.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're all
We might kill each other, but we flock together.
Xanax.
It's very much so I felt like he said that he was like, yeah, I felt like the world kind of like sped up to our anxieties.
Right.
How did you feel about, like, were you someone that was like ordering off Amazon, didn't want to leave the house, or were you venturing out of the house?
I was of course I was paranoid. I'm like, I got asthma, I can't get it, I can't get this. If I have asthma, I'll be in trouble. But I learned just how much DoorDash can do. I never knew this, but DoorDash can bring ice cream to you. So my wife and I were DoorDashing Carvel.
Whoa!
I know. I saw
if I had known that,
Munchkins, and I was like, what?
See, my technological lack of skills probably saved me from gaining, instead of 20 pounds, 50 pounds. If I had known DoorDash delivered that kind of stuff, I'd be in big trouble.
That's crazy.
It was only till again 3 months ago. It looked like we were going to film that pilot I was talking about, like in June. So the producer said to me, you got to lose weight, because I always joked that I was fat and skinny, because I was fat head, fat stomach, skinny legs. So I'm like, I got to be one or the other. And then I started doing keto, and I started losing pretty much weight. I was doing good on keto, but then I had this heart thing that happened to me that scared the shit out of me.
Oh my God, what happened?
It was called the atrial fibrillation, which they turned out something else called atrial flutter, but basically means I got to be careful. Like, I didn't realize.
My ex, the person I'm divorcing has that.
It's so common that I didn't realize what I was doing to myself. I have sleep apnea. I was drinking beer. I was taking Flonase, which I know was bad. I was smoking Flonase every day. Chris Monty and I had smoked pipes that day, so tobacco, caffeine. I had everything in my system. Then one day I was sleeping. I woke up. I was like, God, what's going on? It was.
Oh my Lord!
Yeah.
And you went to the hospital?
We called an ambulance, and this EMT comes. This EMT comes. He's like freaking 400 pounds, big dude. And we live up 2 flights of steps.
He's like, you're going to need to lose some weight, buddy.
Right.
They're going to tell you about your weight.
I'm looking at him. He's out of breath. And he's like, I'm going to help you. I'm like, why don't you sit down next to me and we'll call another ambulance and go together. He was a bit, but it was a wake-up call. The thing about stand-up comedy is we do a lot of traveling for gigs. And a lot of times we eat when we're hungry.
Yeah.
Right, on the go.
And that's when you make bad choices.
Unhealthy foods.
Yes.
Quick.
I love unhealthy foods. Timothy Tim is saying, I hear Terry McNeely Saying something about Terry McNeely.
Terry's
I hear
fat.
Terry McNeely still won't leave his house because of COVID because Biden said it's bad. He listens to Biden a lot. Everybody knows that's not true.
Terry's mom's watching.
That's the opposite of what.
Is that Terry's mom?
Yeah, Barbara.
Yeah. Oh, Barbara. We love Barbara.
Hi, Barbara.
Yes, that's.
Barbara.
I love your son. I'm just
She
kidding.
goes, not bloody likely because Terry was out in about. So were we. We
were on the front lines.
We were on the front lines. We got together for our podcast when it
was the end of the world. We didn't know what was going on.
I was like, if I'm going to die, I'll die doing a podcast with Mandy. Who cares?
We'll go out live.
Yeah.
We'll go out live,
But one of the best things that for me was I knew things were going to be okay when the movie theater started opening back up. I was like, oh, thank God.
I know, because at first they were like, okay, how about $26 to watch it at home 3 days early?
Was crazy.
And I was like, wait a minute, like what? And then I remember it was one night we went to call the Chinese food place. I remember there was like a month where you couldn't get Chinese food because they were all refurbishing their places so that they could all have the right, because now when you walk into a Chinese food restaurant, they've got new vestibules. They've got it all.
The one by me, they block you off. You still can't go in.
Right, yeah, exactly. They've got it all fucking stacked now. And it was like a Friday night at like 8:00, and we called like 3 Chinese food places, and we're like, "It's the end of the world." Like it's
but they're still making the Chinese food, and they'll be ready in between 10 and 15 minutes.
We were like these goddamn racist Americans. First off, that there's no Chinese food, and second of all, what if there's no Chinese food ever again? Like I didn't enjoy my last wonton. Like enough.
I would have savored it.
Yeah, exactly.
Had I known that was my last crab rangoon, things would have been totally not.
How'd I know this is gonna be my last roll of toilet paper?
Yeah. So Terry's mom, Barbara, is saying hi to you, and Peter Najek is talking about how he's trying to lose weight. He's starting to ride bikes at least 3 miles a day, and everybody knows that some people took the lockdown very seriously. I actually have a teacher friend who hasn't left her house
That's not good.
in a year and a half. She has everything delivered, and she's in a deep depression.
Yeah,
which is I think is sad.
Yeah.
And even though they've lifted this now, and if you're vaccinated, you would think you go out.
Yeah, no, go.
The people are still they've been so scared that they're not coming out.
And I'm not going to shame anybody for there are some people saying, do you think there are people that'll ever go back to, not wearing masks? Might just be me, but when I was watching them make my pizza and the guys are yelling over their shoulder to one another and I'm wearing a mask, I was like, maybe they should continue to wear masks.
Food people
making your food, because it's just
I think gross. They used to have people wear masks when you made food. No, that was tying up your hair.
Well, that's my dad's thing. He's like, wait, what? You could have one piece of PPE? He's like, why the fuck where are the hair nets now? Because hair grosses my dad out.
Oh,
so now he's like, now they got the masks on, but they don't have fucking hair nets. He's freaking him out.
Yeah, I kind of like when the waiter or waitress comes over and they have a mask on.
It's nice.
Yeah,
okay. It is nice. It's kind of like it knows they're not spitting in your food by mistake or whatever.
Honestly, my little brother-in-law was like, I think airplanes shouldn't go back to, you don't need to eat. It's a 2-hour flight.
Right.
You don't need to fucking stuff your face like a
Oh, Mandy, that's because you're thin. People like me, they want that fucking box of peanuts and the drink. Sorry.
It breaks up the monotony.
A lot of people are saying all kinds of stuff, but Timothy Tim is saying we got that in school all the time. The best was Newfield. They would say, Tim Nojak, please contact the main office. Somebody said teachers were wacky. It's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Were the teachers wacky before they were teachers, or did they become wacky?
My mom's saying, I never knew I was drowning in other people's droplets. She always talks about droplets.
Right.
That's funny, man.
Now when I see somebody blow out a birthday cake, I'm like, yeah, you can have that.
Yeah.
But, then think about it. Like, when was the last time you had a cold or...
Yeah, so flights are 2 hours.
Can I say something? I've never had the flu.
Go to Australia, it goes back in time.
And I've never had the flu shot because I was a kindergarten teacher, so I have great immunity. Right. So every year the flu shot would come around and be like, I'm not getting the flu shot. I never got the flu.
I don't either.
Everybody has their right to do whatever they want. But we're not going to make this a political show. So Did I say your name wrong, Peter? Peter, how do you say it? Peter Najak. Is that correct?
I don't know.
Type in yes or no. Najak. I'm sorry.
We got the
Timothy goes to teachers sleep with students when we were in school too. I feel left out. My kids were 5 years old, so I didn't have to worry about that. I wasn't interested in any 5-year-olds. And Adam says, touche, Mandy, about the fights. So what about anything else as far as the quarantine with the comedy? Like, did you feel like isolated at that point?
Oh, you know what? I remember the first month I didn't mind because you're always like, I was always on the go. And I remember saying, man, if I could just have
a timeout.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I could have 2 weeks, if I could just have 2 weeks off, I'd work on this script. I would do this, and all of a sudden, 2 minutes later, I'm not doing anything. I'm like, this is bull crap. Let's get Carvel.
Let's get Carvel. Let's watch Sopranos.
Let's watch The Handmaid's Tale or something. Come on.
Yeah, my boyfriend's watching, and I'm sorry, Michael, you tuned in late. I was talking about how we had a great time during the quarantine.
Yeah,
we
good
really
booty.
Enjoyed it.
Actually, since we're at 801, you want to just read our...
Yes, our wonderful sponsor, Keys Loves Jewelry, stainless steel jewelry, all nickel and tarnish free. Keys cutlery, knives, swords, and self-defense equipment. Excellent quality for reasonable prices. Please shop online, keyslovejewelry.com, keyscutlery.com, or you can go in person to Lala's Flea Market, 1075 Portion Road in Farmingville, New York. You could call Key or his beautiful wife, Teresa, 631-379-1781. And Key and Teresa are one of the most wonderful people.
They're awesome.
Salt of the earth, fantastic. And is that 10% discount?
Yes, 10% off discount all of June if you enter Wildflowers at discount on either of those websites, Key Loves Jewelry or keyscutlery.com. Or if you go down to Lala's Flea Market and see either one of them, they will know what you're talking about. Just say Bonnie and Mandy from the Wildflowers sent you.
And they have great stuff. Really order from them. You know, support small businesses. They're trying to get back on their feet, and Key he's just fantastic. So give them a shout out.
And excellent quick shipping is all I hear. Everyone's like, I put my order in, and then there it was.
Fitz is a good dude.
Oh, he's awesome.
He's awesome. He's awesome.
We started together at stand-up comedy.
Did you? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's been around a while.
Been around the block. Now, did you have any new fears that came out of COVID? Because kind of people, it switched a bit.
Well, you know what? The whole COVID thing, I really started just thinking too much about where my life was, where I was going, and oh my God, I'm 50. What's going on? And I think I was spiraling. It was a slow spiral into an anxiety attack where I'm like, Jesus Christ. But the depression, I got hit with depression pretty much, and sometimes like I didn't want to get out of bed. I'm like, oh, it's 2:00. Yeah, I'm gonna sleep another half hour.
Yeah.
It's. I think it's the stillness of it made you have to reflect on your life.
Yeah.
And what's going on, because you could busy yourself. You know, when the world is, oh my God, you had all these responsibilities, and you just went on. You just went on autopilot and did what you had to do, and you had no time to think. So now you had time to think.
Too much time.
And it hit, that we are mortal. And we're not going to be here forever.
Right. It made me really, yes. You know, it's scary. You look where you were like 20 years ago, and you're like, wow, it wasn't that long ago. And you're like, and in 20 years, I'm going to be, oh my God. But, and then, I don't go into politics, and I like that you guys don't go into politics, but the world was going mad.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I don't watch TV. I don't subscribe to any of that stuff. And it was still
you could still find it.
Yes.
Yeah. It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
All everybody talked about. And Bonnie and I had the hour long where we had already said no politics on the show. And then it was like our little hour of solstice. It was like almost like church where we're just talking about farting and shitting your pants. And something fucking normal and
just anything
that
but
doesn't make you feel like, oh my God, something that doesn't make you feel horrible. I mean, shitting your pants is pretty horrible, but it's funny,
It's bad.
But
we can all laugh because we've
all been there.
We've all been
We've
there.
all sharted.
We don't usually talk sports either, but Timothy Chim wants to ask you, are you happy with the new coach? I guess of the Rangers he's talking about. I don't know nothing about sports the way you know.
We'll give it 30 seconds. Tim, I haven't given it much thought. I thought it was going to be John Tortorella. But for you Islander fans out there, I'm happy for you guys too.
They're still going, right?
I know the Islanders are doing well, but
Islanders have a very good team from top to bottom.
How many games do they have to win?
Well, they're down 2-1. They got to win a best-of-7 series to make it to the finals. But just the fact that they made it that far is just good for hockey, good for New York hockey, and good for the rivalry.
Yeah.
So I don't know too much about this. I gotta look into it. I'll get back to you, Tim.
Well, Greg DeFlippo said something really funny. He goes, I came out of this pandemic with the fear of having more children because I'm telling you, the one thing that did happen
Pandemic
is
babies.
all the kids that had to stay home and do Zoom learning, and the parents really had to really get a handle on what it was to be with your kid all day. I think they have a new appreciation for the teachers. I actually do, because this is a camera, and all the kid has to do is sit and look at what's going on. And the parents were going ballistic trying to keep up with this crazy curriculum, which was so hard. It's insane. So you would say, telling us that you have one son. Do you want to tell us about that?
That I know of.
That you know. And he's grown. What when he was younger? What was he in the Long Island School District?
No, he was a Carolina baby.
Oh wow!
North or south?
Yeah, North Carolina. So.
Oh, North Carolina's awesome.
I took him to when I got on the show with Kevin. One of the first things I did was get in touch with a publicist. I'm like, do me a favor, a publicist friend of mine. So I'm a big hockey fan, big Ranger fan. Can you get me tickets to a Ranger game? I always hear about celebrities going to games.
Oh, so Kevin James could get you tickets to a sports event?
Well, being on his show.
Oh, okay.
So next thing I know, they sit me behind the bench where the owner of the Madison Square Garden Rangers, Nick, is sitting here. What's his name? Perry from Friends. I'm hanging out with.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm hanging out with him. I became friendly with Deborah Messing and all these people. Like I would say, like hello to Deborah. Hi, Deborah. And every time I saw her, hugging a kiss, and I'm like, I live at my dad's house, and I'm friends with Deborah Messing. But I brought my son there, who's a big Carolina Hurricanes fan. But I said to him, we're sitting in the section, if the Hurricanes score, you can't celebrate. Because one of the things they do is they send you a letter and they tell you can't wear opposing team's colors in that little section. And you can't wear, just a little respect for, I guess, the home team. So
what does that mean?
A security check.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. There we go. Carry on.
Anyway, I told my son, I said, if the Hurricanes score, you can't celebrate. Just do one of those.
So give a little like that.
An internal celebration.
So it's hard for him, especially he's sitting behind the owner. And I'm like, don't.
There was a Seinfeld episode about that. I just want to say hi to Bruno, who's one of our biggest supporters. Can everyone please press the share button right now and share the show? There was a Seinfeld episode where Elaine went to, I think, the Mets game, and she wore a different baseball cap.
Oh man!
And she took a day off of work and lied to her boss. And it was so funny because she got on the cam,
right?
Right.
Yeah.
Which is, I think those Seinfeld episodes are so they even now, like you just told the story, and even though that show is how many years old, it still is so applicable to what's happening even now. It's amazing.
But
so Adam Snare says Tampa does it for the whole arena. This is just the owner section in MSG. I don't know what that means, Adam, because I don't speak
Tampa
sports.
Does the whole arena? Oh, like.
I don't, Adam. You have to clarify that. Me and Mandy. I'm.
Adam, contact me on the
sports,
side.
Right?
No.
We don't know.
Yeah,
sports.
I don't want to get in sports.
Oh no, I'm talking sports. Mets are trumping the clubs 3-0. I'm a Met person because I'm Jewish. I learned that from there was the guy that we did the show with, Stephen Perillo's friend, the young guy.
Rocco Perillo.
Steve Rocco Perillo. Thank you. The guy who had the long hair and the baseball cap. Oh God! Anyway, part of his routine is that Jews like the Mets, and I was like, "You're right,
Funny.
I do."
Why do I not know who you're talking about?
We were in a show with him, a John Butera show, just recently. Travis Grant.
Oh, okay.
Travis Grant.
All right.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, Travis Grant's routine is that Jews love the Mets,
Okay.
and that is absolutely true. Jews love the Mets. I don't know why, but it's true.
Now,
Swing this back, Mandy.
Anywho.
Thank you. Adam knew. That's right, Adam. Travis Grant.
I don't know if it's a Catholic thing. That my grandfather, I was raised Mets and Giants. Not that I follow sports, but so what makes you tick? How do you? I know you said you suffer with depression and it's hard to get out of bed sometimes. But what keeps you going and what?
I'm more so an anxiety guy, but what keeps me going? Oh boy. You know what? I try to always have something to look forward to.
Okay.
You know?
Keeping that calendar full?
Yeah. You have something to look forward to. Something like, who was I just talking about with this? Is like, as a lot of comedians, like, we're the type of people when you see someone sad, you go over there, you're like, you don't want them to be sad, you want to make them laugh.
Right,
Yes.
But meanwhile, they have no idea what's going on with you, that you're like, you know, sometimes I would just get out of the house, and then once I got to the club and I saw all you guys and all the comedians, I was like a different attitude. Like I came to life.
Right.
And then you get to make people laugh. And every once in a while, somebody would come up to you, a fan or somebody after the show, and go, "You have no idea how much I needed to laugh like that."
Right.
Yes.
And you're like, "Oh my God."
Yes.
Yeah, I know, because you didn't realize how much people needed it, and it really is.
I
When you
know.
don't even appreciate, like, oh, I didn't do so great or whatever. And
Right.
then they're like, oh, no, that was great. I'm like,
It also,
that's
I'm
the
sorry to
best
cut
you
you,
ever
but
did. I'm like,
it made me realize how much I needed that too.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
I did a show on Saturday night with Eli Velasquez
oh, yeah, how
and
was
Justin
that? I saw
McDonald.
great pictures.
They were the producers, and they had it at this Hop Winds Brewery, and this woman was there before. It was her 50th birthday, and she has an autistic son, and he was sitting there with his computer, and I went up and I did my routine, and I have part of my routine is about, I have 2 autistic kids, and after the show, she came over to me and she hugged me, and she said, you know, I so identified with everything you said, and that you were vulnerable to put it out there, and she just kept talking to me for almost
That's awesome.
40 minutes, and it made me feel so good.
That's
Oh,
no
that's nice.
coincidence.
Right.
That's
The-
what
the
drew her
church, you're doing
there.
something
She
good.
needed
It was
to
just
hear
a coincidence.
that, yeah.
She wasn't there to see the comedy show. She was
Yeah.
there for a birthday party, and she stayed because there was a comedy show after. It was
And then-
amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, Jan Brenner is tuning in, and Jan Brenner just moved to Las Vegas, I believe.
Viva
How is it? How is it in Las Vegas? He goes, "There's one Jew in Phoenix
Oh,
who still loves
Phoenix.
the Mets. Me. See, Jews do love the Mets.
I realize I'm
Hit
chewing
the
gum on
screen
this show.
button. Yeah.
Las Vegas.
How about I come to your show and chew gum?
No, I have no problem with that.
I didn't realize I was chewing gum.
So, do you plug your show again?
The Chris Roach show. We just had a couple of cool guests. Carlos Alazraqui, I have trouble saying his name. Carlos Alazraqui he's a member of Reno 911,
Ooh.
and he's also the voice. Do you remember the Taco Bell Chihuahua?
Yes, I
He's a
love
Taco
him.
Bell
The
Chihuahua.
little cute little Taco Bell.
Spiro the Dragon.
Okay.
Like he's really an
Who
accomplished.
was he on Reno 911? Do
You know,
know?
911. He was the racist cop.
The short little guy with the mustache.
Yeah, that was him.
It's so funny. We were watching it not either yesterday or the day before we put Reno 911 on. 'Cause
Reno
it's just
911.
It's never not good.
And I have, it's such a funny show. And who else I have coming up? My friend Brett Ernst from Cobra Kai. He's
Ooh.
Daniel Russo's cousin at so it's, listen,
And you're going to be at the Broadway
Gotham this
Gotham.
Friday.
Awesome.
this Friday. What time?
This Friday at, I think it's a 9:00 show.
How do we get tickets to that?
Good question. Gotham.com?
Gotham.com.
That is
That's
so cool.
You want to be on the Friday night show.
Yeah, it's the later show of the two. I know there's like a 7:00 and like a 9:00. I think I'm on the
The
later.
9:00 show.
Yeah.
I've never been to Gotham. I've
Beautiful.
only seen videos.
Neither have I.
Gotham's a beautiful club.
I've been
It
to
really is
Broadway
nice.
Comedy Club, but not Gotham.
The thing about Broadway Comedy Club and Gotham, they're both owned by men that used to be stand-up comedians, so they get it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying no, the other clubs don't get it,
Right.
but they get it.
Understand, right? Yeah, the
Like-
lighting and all that.
Yes, and Chris Mazzilli at Gotham, he would, no matter who you are, he would call you back and just talk to you. Even if you weren't right for his club, he'd still call you back and talk to you. He's such a good guy. Such a good guy.
It's nice to hear that there's some nice people.
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah, yeah, and it's nice to hear that we could finally go back to a little normalcy and that
Little-
these places are opening
Yeah.
back up.
Yeah, one thing I learned, it's so funny, it's like almost you have to learn how to do things again. Like I'm walking in the city and almost like walking into traffic. You know, I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta wait.
You're
stop
not used
at the
to
light.
having like cars, like so many traffic and
You're
crowds.
not just playing
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto
That's the one part I
enjoyed
enjoyed that part of not having. I hate crowds. I hate having like the cars and the crowds. That's
crowded places.
It's starting to come back.
Comedy crowds, I love.
Yeah.
I was concerned about. I'm like, how are we going to do comedy when people are wearing masks? But you know, a few months ago I was doing shows. I'm like, it wasn't that bad. I could still hear them. Of course, you want to see them laugh, but it wasn't that bad.
They weren't wearing masks.
Yeah, no, and the comedy special that we went to last night, they had us masks, and they had you when you checked in. But once we sat down, I was probably a little bit closer than me and Chris. Me and Chris were probably a little bit closer, and you not between us. So the seats were a little bit, you know,
distance?
Yeah, a little distance. And but the seats were, you know, they were free seats. So if I wanted to, you know, scooch next to, you know, my husband or something, I guess I suppose you could have, but they have everybody pretty separated.
That's
good.
And then everyone took their masks off.
Look what Bruno did.
Oh, very nice.
Bruno is so sweet.
That's Chris's IDMB.
Oh, thank you, Bruno.
Thank you, Bruno.
And we were saying at CBS.com is where you can find
CBS. Kevin can wait.
Old episodes, and you're gonna have to tell us when your stuff's being filmed and when your stuff's gonna be.
Yeah, we want to know.
Yeah,
can we say? Do you know the name of it, or can we say the name of it?
No, I can't say it yet.
Okay, so
I probably could, but I'm just like so superstitious.
No.
Yeah, you don't want to jinx it.
One time I had a few years ago, like 5-6 years ago, I got a part in an independent film with Al Pacino. And I'm like, when I got the part, I'm like in tears. Oh my God, I'm going to be working with Al Pacino. I'm going around telling everybody, I'm going to be working with Al Pacino. And like 2 weeks later, I get a call from my agent. They canceled the part.
Oh no!
And right then I said to myself,
I'd be like that. I'd be telling everybody. And
right then I said to myself, I will never, ever tell anybody until after it's done filming. Some people don't tell people until it's going to be on TV. Because sometimes you could, like I had a friend that did a Law and Order. No, the one with Tom Selleck, the cop show. He was on that show.
Guys, what's the cop show? Pipe it in.
Yeah, he was on that show, and he told people when it was going to be, and all of a sudden it aired, and his scene was cut out. So you feel like a fool. So then I ended up getting another part in the movie with Al Pacino, where I got to act with him, which is phenomenal. Even one scene, I had 3 lines. They cut it down. They edited it down to 1. But I'm like, I don't care. I was improvising with Al Pacino. But
that's cool.
Yeah, it was surreal. And then when I got the part in Kevin's show, I didn't tell anybody. I was so afraid. I was so afraid to tell that when somebody, like 2 weeks before we were going to film the pilot, somebody told a friend of mine, and then it got out. And friends were like upset with me that I didn't tell him. I'm like, you know me. Like, look what just happened to me last year with Al Pacino. I was so, and I felt bad. But like, there's some people I didn't even tell my father because I didn't want to get his hopes up. And then all of a sudden, it doesn't, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm like, I'm sorry, Dad.
No, expectation is one of those really hard things to deal with because I even worked myself up for, even if it's disappointment, even if it's like, all right, we're going to be there at 7:30, we're going to start at 7:45. No problem. I'll work an extra half hour into my time, no problem. But then if you show up at my house at 7 o'clock and I'm like, they were supposed to be here at 7:45. I'm like, my hair's not up. This is like, I had a whole 45-minute fucking play-by-play that I was gonna do.
I hate prompt people.
I don't. But even no matter
in the middle.
what it is, I want to be
Blue Bloods. Is that what you were talking
about?
Blue
Bloods. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Thanks, Peter.
No,
I just want to give
expectation versus reality.
A shout out to Michelle Astor, who's tuning in. She just had some surgery, and
oh my God,
our thoughts. You know, she's mending, and we love you, Michelle, and we wish you a speedy recovery. And she says, she says hello. She has a podcast called Disturbed and Confused. And once she's feeling better, she will get that podcast up and running. Michelle, type in when your next episode is going to be if you know. And I'm not sure what the time is. How are we doing on time?
Yeah, we got 11 minutes.
Okay.
19.
Okay. So does anyone else have a story about the pandemic that they want to share? I have a negative story that I actually put on Facebook today because I have a lot of patients, but a year and a half, I have 2 special needs sons, and one of the sons' program, it's like the day after the quarantine. It's every other day he has school. And then if the person who's in charge of him calls in sick, they just cancel school. So he had no school last week, and he's very frustrated.
They like the regimen, right?
Yeah, they need routine.
Yeah.
My nephew too. My nephew's autistic.
Yeah, and Mandy has an autistic brother.
Same thing.
So Mary, have you been noticing like any change in your son's routine? Like Lou Pratz was saying, we're not going to talk politics, but one of the politicians actually used the retarded word when talking about the kids, and I'm like, I'm just livid. I'm burnt out. I'm just burnt out, and I'm pulling him out of that program, putting him in another program. So that's the only really negative thing that came out of that, is not even because of me. I just feel bad for Brandon.
Yeah, no, the kids definitely lost out. Even the kids that were
they need
13.
stability.
I didn't really particularly like school very much when I was that age, but it was at least getting away from my family and socializing a little bit.
That'd be tough. Again, they're saying that they need that routine, and when it's disrupted.
And they would call me. Not even the night before. I'd get him dressed, and and then 20 minutes before, so and so called in sick. The program's canceled.
Yeah, anybody that's touched
and then he'd be having a temper tantrum, and it's like, I don't blame him. I'm pissed too, but I know how to deal with it better. I drink alcohol. It's like that's how I deal with it.
Brandon, we'll get Brandon some alcohol. No, I'm just kidding. No, but we were talking about what we should talk about for the show.
Taz is tuning in. We were talking about Taz. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
But embarrassing stories came up, and you said you specifically had an embarrassing story about the beach. Do you want to share that?
Oh my God, you remember that?
Oh, awesome.
I don't know why. I guess the beach was on my mind, and I was thinking my embarrassing beach story. It goes back quite a way. I was probably 11.
Okay, like the height of the most embarrassed you could be as a human being.
Yeah, 11. I'm gonna guess 11, 12, and I'm at Smith Point Beach, and we're body surfing.
Oh my God, Smith Point.
Remember body surfing?
Oh yeah.
And I got caught by the undertow. Yeah, the
undertow's scary.
I remember I was getting pulled out by the undertow, and I must
to your death.
Yeah, I must have turned around. I got a gulp of water, and I'm panicking, and I'm looking at the lifeguards, and they're just
they're not paying attention. They're not paying attention.
And my brother Tommy's on his tippy toes trying to grab me, but I'm like 3 feet out of range. He's like, "Craig, come on, grab my hand," and I'm thinking like that's it, And all of a sudden I felt this, a hand grabbed me and pulled me in. And when I got to like my knee dipped water, I'm coughing water, and I'm looking, the hand's still on me, and I look up, and it's a girl, probably about up to my elbow, who swam out and saved my life.
Holy crap!
And shout out!
And I was like, so, I don't know what I was feeling at the time, like maybe embarrassed of the whole thing. So I just walked away. I never even thanked her, and I always felt bad about that. That I walked away. I was embarrassed.
Oh, she knows. It was okay.
And later on, like I saw her making a sandcastle. I was like walking the other way. Like, there's a girl that just saved me. And I walked away. So if you're out there, you're probably a female. I would imagine now you're probably about 5'7", and if I had to guess your age, you're probably in your mid to late 40s. Thank you for saving my life wherever you are.
Maybe she'll see this podcast and she'll contact you.
And that's how I met your mother.
That's how I met your mother.
I have a similar story. I went. Jews go to camp, which I didn't realize. I thought everyone went to camp. You saved me?
It was you?
No, but
Jews.
My boyfriend said only Jews go to camp. Like he's Italian.
Only Jews can afford it.
He goes, the rest of us don't go to camp. So I was at camp, and I was swimming in the pool, and this girl was drowning, and I didn't know she was drowning. And because she was drowning, she grabbed me and pulled me to try to lift herself up, and she held me under the water, and I was drowning. And because I was drowning, I lifted up my feet and kicked her as hard as I could. I actually kicked her to the side. So I saved her, and she grabbed onto the side, and I survived. And I was about the same age. So it's a similar story, but not at the beach. I don't do the beach. I hate the beach.
Oh, I burn, so I don't really go to the beach that much.
Me too. I hate the beach. Yeah. Can everyone please share the show before this is everybody's watching. Press the share button because he's the best. and share it so all your friends can watch it. And Taz, thank you for tuning in. Bruno is saying, sorry, I missed sending you the invite. I don't know what they're talking about. It is what it is. So any last stories about the
Did you ever drown in the pool?
Yeah, did you ever drown?
No,
Who taught you how to swim?
I actually am a very good swimmer. My mom used to call me like a water bug. Like I was little and I didn't need swimmies or anything.
You're so tiny, you probably float.
Yeah, they just threw me in. I floated.
You're a natural floater.
But I went to like a lake when I was probably about 10 or 12.
A lake.
And it's the buoyancy is different. And I remember not liking that.
Yeah, it is.
What do you
Good
mean?
word, buoyancy.
Yeah, what does that mean? That's a big word.
Because when you're in the ocean, it's salt water versus a lake is fresh water, and you're something about
It makes
the salt.
you float.
Yeah, salt makes you float.
It makes you feel heavier.
Yeah.
And I just remember not being able to see past my toes and being like,
It gets dark.
"There's a fucking crocodile or something."
Right.
There
Oh,
for
your mom is saying, when Mandy was upset, I would say, get her in the bathtub, and she would stay in there sometimes for 4 hours.
Yes.
So you're a water baby.
Yeah, to prune away and not deal with anybody. I still can just go in the bath and just prune away and not deal with anybody.
Yes.
I was one of 3. Now, you had siblings. Who's your favorite sibling? And
Oh, that's
I
putting
will
on the
not
spot.
say. They're all my favorite.
why?
Who was I closest with? Well,
Where are you in the lineup?
I'm the youngest of 3 boys.
Oh, you're the youngest.
Yeah, and then my sister's younger than me.
Okay.
And I had
So you're
different.
not the youngest.
I had different relationships with all of them. My sister and I were very close, and my brother Tommy and I were very close. My brother John and I were close, but he was older, and he had his own friends, stuff like that. So.
What's the age difference between you and the oldest brother?
I would say 5 years.
Oh, okay.
So we're all pretty
still
close.
Pretty close.
Pretty close. It's like my other brother's probably a year and a half older than me. My sister's like 3 or 4 years younger than me.
And now, would you say, like, pick you out of a lineup, they're all very similar to you, or you guys are all very different?
I think we're all very different. And I was just thinking about the camp, how we never went to camp, but we would probably just given my parents more headaches. There'd be calls, oh, your son did this, and your son this.
Come pick him up. He's not behaving.
Your son did this to that person.
Disrupting.
And my father would be like, you know how much I paid for this?
Yeah,
Get out of the kitchen.
Some of those camps are like $6,000 per kid.
Oh.
$6,000 per kid.
Crazy.
So Barbara, Terry McNeely's mom, is saying, I almost drowned in a neighborhood pond when I was ice skating. Can you imagine?
Oh my God.
Oh my God. And if you had drowned, Terry McNeely wouldn't be here.
Oh my
like
God.
you wouldn't be here. So
Thank
things
God.
happen for a reason. I kicked that girl to the side of the thing for a reason. That girl saved you for a reason.
Yes.
So that you could make people laugh. Harry Flagdrop is saying, love the show. Thank you, Harry. And a lot of people are sharing it. Thank you so much. And go see Chris this Friday at Gotham
In New York City.
in New York City. I haven't been to the city since 2 years, I think.
I know, it was
You
nice.
were here there last night.
It
so-
was nice to be in the city last night. It felt like there was a little bit of normalcy. I think people are coming
Yes.
around and people are feeling a little bit better. And now that it's warming up, we can have our outdoor activities again where everyone feels safe. I know everyone, even before the vaccine was available last summer and spring, being able to be outside with or without your mask, whatever you feel comfortable with, everyone felt a little bit better. So I'm looking forward to that warm weather and people coming out. So we got G's Club on July 12th. If you
Show
go to
up to
Nothing
support.
Else, that's a free comedy show, guys.
Peaches Rodriguez, headliner.
Peach.
Steve Rocco Perillo, host.
This guy was fun, says my mom. So you're approved by my mom.
Oh, thank you, Mom.
Thanks,
Thank
Mom.
you.
All right, guys.
Thank you,
Everyone
everybody.
get
Thank
home
you, Peter
safe.
Wolfinger. Thank you,
Chris,
everybody.
Thank you for your time.
Bye, Peter.
ChrisRoachLive.com and CBS.com for Kevin Can Wait. And
Kevin
just
Can Wait,
all over
yeah.
the internet. Chris
all
Roach.
over.
I'm all over.
Thank you so much.